I'm going to be talking about the iCloud today, and it is a rather complicated topic. And there's been a lot of buzz about the iCloud lately. And like the clouds up in the sky, there's, it's surrounded by mystique and mystery. And if you were to ask somebody on the street that has an iPad, what do you think about iCloud? We might get one response that says, wow, I absolutely love it. It's really a big deal. On the other hand, you might get somebody that's, could be a technical person, that's very savvy. Go, yeah, big deal. Two different outcomes, big deal or big deal. So one of my objectives today is to remove some of the mystery around the iCloud and to also help you understand from your own perspective whether the iCloud is for you. So that's the objective today. Just to spend a little moment about what I plan to talk about to help get you there, decide whether the iPad is for you or not. I'm going to cover a little bit about the apps and other things and tools that I'm using, so you may put that in your bailiwick for some time in the future for yourself, if you're going to give a presentation of your own, for example, or there may be other reasons. So I'll give you some background of material that I've researched. You can read it also. So again, I'm giving all this material to Judy, and she will send you a link to this information so you can study it on your own later if you need it. I'll also give a brief introduction to the iCloud, and who better to do that than Steve Jobs himself. So I have a little video that I edited just for that purpose. And then of course, Steve just gives you the nice, easy kind of stuff about the iCloud, but it's a good introduction. And so there's more information. Here's where the complexity comes in. So I'm going to try to drill down and do my very best to keep it simple, and yet go beyond what Steve talks about. And one of the things to help you get to making your own decision whether the iCloud is for you or not is to compare it to something called iTunes Wi-Fi Sync. Now we all know what iTunes syncing is. We'd have the cable and we'd hook it up to our PC or our Mac and turn on iTunes, and then we would say sync. That was the original piece. Well, they come along with a second version of that, which is a Wi-Fi. It's wireless. You don't need that cable. And so it's sort of similar to the iCloud. And I always had the question, well, what's the difference? And so through that lens, hopefully you'll come to digest some of the material I'll give you, and you have a better understanding in deciding whether this iCloud is for you or not. Or whether you might choose just to do the Wi-Fi iTunes sync. And then finally, we'll have a little bit of conversation, hopefully among ourselves, if I've done my job. We'll have enough information to start discerning whether iCloud is for you or not. So I'd like to hear a little bit about what you think, why it would be for you, maybe why not. And of course, it doesn't have to be comprehensive. You don't have to state all the points, but just some of them. What makes you think iCloud's for you or maybe not? I appreciate your sharing. And then finally, I'll spend a little time just to show you where you can go, and what tool. It's a great tool from Apple to help show you how to set up iCloud. It's very different than the topic itself. They give you a tool that makes it very easy to set it up and to actually use it. Any questions? How many people here are currently believe or know that you're using iCloud? Good. Fair number of you. So if you have anything that you want to contribute or questions, feel free to ask. Okay, some of the things and tools that I'm using. I'm using the hockey puck that I spoke about. If you were here some time ago, it's the Apple TV. It's a way to connect your iPad to your TV at home or your home entertainment center at home. And what it can do is wirelessly send whatever's going on in your iPad to this device, and instead of the projector, it could be your TV at home. So if you think about Netflix, you can send movies from Netflix through the Apple TV up to your real TV at home. So it's a very handy device. This is one of my favorite apps. It's called Flashtop. It's a remote desktop. What does that mean? Well, basically, it turns my iPad into a remote control that literally helps control my PC. I can run anything and everything from my iPad, and I'm literally running programs, etc. off my PC. And by the way, I just happen to be a PC user, but if you're a Mac user, the same application works the same way with your Mac. So you can turn your iPad into a control device to run your Mac somewhere from Wi-Fi in your house, or possibly remotely. You can run it from here and you can run your Mac at work. So anyway, it's one of my favorite tools. We use it a lot with lifelong learning here at Oakmont. Another one, of course, is Keynote, and that's where the slides are coming from that you're seeing. That was a new tool for me, so it's been interesting and fairly easy for me to learn how to use it. And here's a number of icons. I can't show you them on the store, the iTunes store, but you're familiar with them. They all come on your iPad when you buy it. So all of these applications I'll be touching and using today. Except for the very bottom one you're probably not familiar with. It's kind of a photograph from a browser perspective. It could be Safari or any other browser. But if you go into the web or the internet and you bring up a website for the iCloud, it will give you or present you with this first user interface, which shows you things like the mail icon, contacts icon, the calendar, another one called Where's My iPad or My iPhone, and finally the last one, it's Documents in the cloud. So I'm going to try to take you to that website through some of this technology and show information and a way to access the cloud other than your iPad. Now I'll show that to you later. Here's some links that will take you to material that I use to research, and there is an abundance, in fact an overabundance I think, but this will give you a lot of good research. The first one, of course, is the iPad User Guide. Last time I spoke, I mentioned that. You should all have. If you don't, find it. It has answers to most any questions you have about your iPad, how to use. Second one has to do with a lot of the features that are involved with iCloud, which I'm going to cover a lot of it today, but there's more detail there. And the very last one I will take you to, actually go through the browser and we'll go there. It shows you how to set up the iCloud itself. So all these are ways to connect through your browser to the internet and get this information. And again, Judy will be able to send you a link to all of this documentation, including the slides. So you have that for your research. Don't expect you to digest all of this, so I'm going to give you an hour. Okay, I mentioned that for an introduction I was going to do a brief thing with a video of Steve Jobs. This was like an 8-minute video and I cut it down to like 3 minutes, so I need to give you a little bit of intro to his intro. If you look on the left, notice that the computer is sitting at the top. What this slide on the left represents is the early vision of how to communicate or how to sync data between your device, like your iPad, maybe your iPhone, your iPod, to your Mac or your PC. So at the top, they have a picture of a Mac, but it could be the PC. And being at the top, it's representative. It places Mac PC as the king. It is the central communication device where everything is stored. If you want to get to the iTunes store, you go into your Mac, PC, you grab what you want, music or video, downloads to your computer. From there, you have the cable that connects to your iPad, and then you can load it to your iPad. That was the early version. Well, things kind of matured over time. Started to get a whole lot more devices, and things got more complicated. And so we wanted to see, we'll talk in the video, part of what I took out. Moving to the right, where you see the cloud, the iCloud being at the top. It now is king. It is the master. It is the central place for communication. And now notice that the PC or the Mac has been demoted down to the bottom right behind Steve, and it's equal, and he'll talk about this at the beginning of the video, equal to all devices. So all of them are going to be communicating up to the cloud and back down. So that will be a bit of where he starts out in the video. So bear with me, I'm going to go through some of my technical hoops, and I hope I can get there for you. I'm going to now go into Splashtop, taking the iPad and connecting it to my PC. And I'm going to ask my PC to run the video. The pictures are going to come across, if all things work well. The pictures will come across. Here's a view of my PC. It's really the work area of my PC. It's not something I really would like you to show you, but it's okay that I am for discussion purposes. But I can hide it and show you what I really want you to see on my PC. By selecting this. Again, this image now is coming from my PC through this Splashtop remote desktop application, then going through the Apple TV up through the projector to the screen. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I play the video from here and it delivers the sound into the sound system. So, here we go. Ask the PC now to play the video.
So I have to sync my iPhone to my Mac, then I have to sync my other devices to the Mac to get that song, but then they've deposited some photos on the Mac, so I have to sync the iPhone again with the Mac to get those photos. And keeping these devices in sync is driving us crazy. So I have to sync my iPhone.
Yeah.
So I have to sync my iPhone to my Mac, then I have to sync my other devices to the Mac to get that song, but then they've deposited some photos on the Mac, so I have to sync the iPhone again with the Mac to get those photos. And keeping these devices in sync is driving us crazy.
Driving us crazy.
So,
I noticed the PC
we've
is
got
king
a
right
great
now.
solution for this problem. And we think this solution is our next big insight, which is we're going to demote the PC and the Mac to just be a device, just like an iPhone, an iPad, an iPod Touch. And we're going to move the digital hub, the center of your digital life, into the cloud. Because all these new devices have communications built into them. They can all talk to the cloud whenever they want. Now, some people think the cloud is just a hard disk in the sky, right? And you take a bunch of stuff and you put it in your Dropbox or your iDisk or whatever, and it transfers it up to the cloud and stores it, and then you drag whatever you want back out on your other devices. We think it's way more than that, and we call it iCloud. Now, iCloud stores your content in the cloud and wirelessly pushes it to all your devices. So it automatically uploads it, stores it, and automatically pushes it to all your other devices. But also, it's completely integrated with your apps. And so everything happens automatically, and there's nothing new to learn.
Automatically.
It just
Keyword.
all works. It just works. As an example, in contacts, when I make a new contact on my iPhone, it's automatically brought up to the cloud where it's stored on the cloud, right? The truth is on the cloud. And then it's automatically pushed down to my other devices so they're all in sync. It's that easy. I just update a contact on my iPhone and don't even think about it. And that contact is updated on all my other devices. And if I change it on any device, it's updated on all devices wirelessly, automatically, without me doing a thing. So that's contacts. Here's calendars. Works much the same way. I make a new calendar event on my iPhone. It's stored in the cloud, and it's pushed to my other devices. We have mail. Mail is in the best shape of all, but it's even better now. We give you a mail account at me.com. Your new messages, again, are pushed to all your devices, and like we're used to, your inbox and folders are all kept up to date on all devices. So that's mail. And no ads.
Okay, just to recap a little bit of what Steve was talking about. iCloud, probably didn't mention it specifically, did say though in his description generally that it's an online service. We're connecting to the internet, and the little signals flying up to the cloud, that's the Wi-Fi representation of communicating back to the internet. So it's an internet service. It provides data storage. Remember the disk symbol at the top for a moment? He's saying it's much more than that. But it is in part, a place to store data, your data. He said that there would be an email address that they would provide to you for free. And that email address helps link all of these things. It knows where your devices are, etc., so it can locate them and communicate with them across multiple devices if you have them. And so instead of att.net or Comcast or whatever you have today as a service provider, these folks can be a service provider. They'll provide you with an email address that ends in @me.com. Short, sweet, easy to communicate with others when you're passing the email address on to them. Something to think about. And the key point, automatic. He's saying there's nothing new for you to learn. That's almost true, not totally. But it's all very automatic, and it ships your contacts up to the cloud and back down to your computer or some other device. Automatically. And it's almost instantaneous. That's a very distinct difference between the iTunes sync. Remember the old cable? You have to make it go. And it won't go until you cable it up again. Or you're going into the Wi-Fi iTunes sync. Again, you've got to manually make that happen.